How can you take your career growth into your own hands? In this episode of Neurocareers Doing the Impossible, we're diving into a story of initiative, inspiration, and empowerment led by the students of the Neuroscience Alliance at the University of Central Florida, UCF. Faced with the desire to expand their educational and career opportunities, these incredible students didn't wait for the right resources to come their way. They created them. The Neuroscience Alliance was founded with a mission to promote awareness, research, and volunteer opportunities in neuroscience while building professional connections between students and faculty. In this episode, we're joined by the remarkable minds behind the Neuroscience Alliance at UCF. They'll share their journey, the challenges they faced, and the benefits they've experienced by creating such a vibrant and supportive organization. More importantly, they'll provide practical advice and inspiration for students worldwide who want to take charge of their own education and career development. Ready to discover how you can create opportunities, build networks, and make a real difference in your field? Tune in to hear the story of the Neuroscience Alliance and learn how you can bring similar initiatives to life at your university. Let's explore how students are redefining neuroscience education, one bold step at a time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. For our listeners, I want, first of all, to introduce all of you. And I will mention today with us is Professor Kiminobu Sugaya. And we have wonderful students, Sudeepta, Matha. Then we have Charisse, Melendez. We have Andrei, Nesterenko. And we have Torra. So welcome. And can you briefly introduce yourself? Professor Sugaya, maybe we can start with you.
All right. I'm Kiminobu Sugaya. Too many vowels, I know that. That's a Japanese typical name. So anyway, and then I'm a professor and the head of the neuroscience. And then, I'm helping this student group to grow and then do better or even, great things in this society, community. I forgot to tell you that. I'm in the College of Medicine of the UCF.
Thank you so much, Professor Sugaya. Sudeepta, let's hear from you.
I'm a senior here at UCF, so it's my fourth year. I'll be graduating in 2 more semesters. I'm a psychology major on the neuroscience track, so I'm not strictly neuroscience. I like to focus on behavior and neuroscience and brain structure, so.
Thank you so much. And it's so interesting. And high school and Alliance here already at the university. Yes, so it definitely shows how Alliance penetrate already different areas of education. What a wonderful story to hear. Thank you, Sudeepta. Okay, then we have Charisse Melendez. Charisse.
Hi, yes. My name is Charisse Melendez. I am a third-year Communication Sciences and Disorders major here at UCF. I'm also minoring in Spanish, and I am the PR manager for the Central Florida Brain Bee here.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Andrei, it's your turn.
Yes, so my name is Andrei Nesterenko. I am a junior. I'm a biomedical neuroscience major with minors in political science and writing and rhetoric. I also joined in high school what we'll talk about later on, the thing that I now help run, which is the Brain Bee, is the reason why I came to UCF. Gave me a passion, gave me networking, gave me all this, and so I feel like it's only it's my duty basically to do the same for the next generation. And otherwise, later on, I want to do an MD PhD and kind of as Sugaya said, help do good things in the world and society and all that.
Mhm. Thank you, Andrei. And May.
Hey, yeah. I'm a second year at UCF majoring in biomedical sciences neuroscience with 2 minors, those being genomics and bioinformatics, along with environmental studies. I'm Neuroscience Alliance's secretary, and I'm also interested in pursuing a PhD, probably in the realm of behavioral neuroscience.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have quite a broad here selection of different majors, yes, different programs. That's amazing. Now let's let everyone know what is that Neuroscience Alliance at UCF. What is it about? Who would like to talk?
I can say a little bit about that. Neuroscience Alliance is all about connecting, as you know, high school students in high school and undergrad students here at UCF and so many other universities, just to connect them with neuroscience opportunities. I think the way education is set right now, it's not very easy to get networking or academic opportunities, and that's exactly the gap that Neuroscience Alliance is trying to fill. We have so many events, whether that's volunteering, leadership, networking. We've done traveling to like different conferences. We've had events that we've hosted, fully run by student leaders with the help of our professors, of course. So yeah, we've been running for, I think, at least almost a decade now. I think Dr. Sugaya can talk a little bit more about how it was established and everything. But that's the main priority that we have as Neuroscience Alliance.
Yes, thank you very much, Sudeepta. Yes, Professor Sugaya, you were at the very beginning of it. I remember. Can you tell a little bit about how did it start? Why did it start? And I think it's so important to emphasize the initiative that students took in their own hands when they were establishing that alliance.
Yeah, I don't know exact when. Long time ago. I'm an old man. So then the first idea was to, form the faculty group of the interdisciplinary neuroscience. That was the original idea. Because already you notice that neuroscience including lots of different area. Even if you go to the supermarket, where to put such a product to sell it, that's a neuroscience, right? So then that's why we formed such a faculty group. But the faculty group couldn't include the student. And also we wanted to expand this neuroscience idea to the even high school student. And then one of the high school teacher came to me and saying, why don't we start the brain B? That's another starting point. So those two are started for the student. And then after, we gave the idea to the student, this spontaneously came to me, and then the spontaneously grow like this, big, the student group now. And then the matter of fact, the neuroscience students, we have a lot of them. Biomedical science, I wouldn't say majority, 80% or something, but about like 50%. Those are students interested in the neuroscience. Because of these two groups, the BrainB and then the Neuroscience Alliance student group, that made it happen. So we recruited the students from the high school and grow them in the college, and then we are growing to the graduate student, and then hopefully we're gonna have the quite a few academic professors from this group as well. That's the point.
Thank you so much, Professor Sugaya. And maybe now each of you can share a brief story. How did you get into this alliance, Neuroscience Alliance at UCF? What brought you here? And how do you feel it contributes to your career development that you are pursuing? Who wants to start? Sudeepta.
Yeah, I got very lucky. At my high school, we already had an established Neuroscience Alliance. And going into high school, I didn't know neuroscience was what I wanted to pursue until I took AP Psychology, which is such an important course for so many people. I think it covers so many different parts of neuroscience, and that specific unit, I knew that I wanted to pursue neuroscience. And so I seeked to see if there was any clubs that were relevant to that. And luckily, I found Neuroscience Alliance at my high school. And I joined, and I had the privilege of participating and studying for the Brain Bee, which I'll introduce in a little bit. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I wasn't able to compete, but I knew I wanted to continue it because I think the mission that Neuroscience Alliance stands for is very important to me. So as soon as I committed to UCF, I looked up if there's a Neuroscience Alliance. There was, immediately joined, and now I'm in my 4th year at UCF, and I'm still in it. It's been the most persistent thing that I've done at UCF, and I don't think that I would have been able to figure out my career goals without it. It has connected me to so many different neuroscience professionals in the neuroscience field that have given me guidance and mentorship to lead me to want to pursue a PhD in neuropsychology. So that's how it's helped me.
Thank you very much, Sudeepta. Who else wants to share? Andrei. Yep.
So my relationship with NSA is like really wonderful. Much like Sudeepta, in high school, I took AP psychology, had no idea that I wanted to do neuroscience, took that, saw the neuroscience unit and went, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. Kind of fell in love with it, met a friend that heard about this like Brain Bee that was happening in Orlando. Keep in mind, we're like 2.5 hours away, but we set up with them and we started studying neuroscience. We compete in the Brain Bee, and I competed in the Brain Bee for 3 years, so from freshman year and all that. And one of the great things about the UCF Brain Bee is that on top of having like the normal competition, we also have a poster competition where you like do a literature review and you present the same way that you would at a conference. And that's what me and my friend really liked doing. In fact, the first time I ever met Sagaya, I was 16 years old. I was, my legs were shaking, and he's here drilling me on this like Alzheimer's thing that I go, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. And now it's wonderful because I see him all the time, and we talk like very well now. So yeah, I mean that's one. And then when I got accepted into UCF, I already knew like I had a choice between UCF and one other school, and I'm like, I already know all the neuroscience professors at UCF, might as well go there, and I'm super glad I did. It connected me like later on now because as I was working at the Brain Bee, I met other great mentors. So like Dr. Benjamin Fry and Dr. Alicia Hawthorne, also like knew them in high school, took their classes here, became TAs for them, became part of their labs. So yeah, Neuroscience Alliance and the Brain Bee has given me really everything professionally, and it just keeps on giving every time we go to a conference and all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
So inspiring. Thank you so much, Andrei. Who else wants to share? May. Yep.
I'm going to be so honest. I didn't realize we all started from AP psychology. I had the exact same situation. It was like the bio chapter of AP psychology that got me interested in neuroscience. The difference with me, though, was I figured out I was interested in neuro like halfway through senior year, kind of sort of interested in psychology, and then got a bit deeper into neuro and realized that's where I want to go. Not that they're separate, but and yeah, no, Neuroscience Alliance has been super great, just getting to talk to everyone, even when it's not just like directly related to the activities that we do. I feel like I've learned like so much in the time that I've been here, between like skills such as like networking and how to put yourself out there, to just like general knowledge of neuroscience in general, just knowing like what fields are out there, what interests do I have, how do I like go out and figure out what I want to know, things like that. So yeah.
Thank you so much, May. And Charisse.
So my story is a little bit different. I didn't take AP Psych. Always knew that I wanted to do something in the healthcare field, but I wasn't sure. And so I did community college for a while. I did a lot of anatomy and physiology courses, and I loved learning about the brain. I decided to pursue the major that I have right now, which is CSD. And there I took a neuroanatomy course that was basically focused on speech and language. And it was incredible. I loved my professor. His name is Dr. Drake. We went through aphasia, the different types of aphasia. He told us stories that he had treating people with aphasia. And we also talked about apraxia and like so many other neurodegenerative disorders that I was like, wow, I definitely want to get involved into this. And this semester, actually, I took an audiology course. My professor, she did intraoperative neuro IONM. So it's intraoperative neuromonitoring. There you go. And I didn't know that that was a possibility for an audiologist. I thought that was simply just hearing aids, doing hearing evaluations. But no, you can be in an OR. You can be so involved in neuro, but not have to pursue an MD or an DO. So I thought that was very interesting. But yes, I love my time at NSA. I'm relatively new. I joined essentially over the summer. It was a friend just told me about it because we were just talking about how much we loved the neuro course. And yeah, that's how it's been for me.
Thank you so much, Charisse. And Professor Sugaya, so we right now heard about students at their beginning of this involvement in neuroscience and how it proceeded into their already bachelor study. But you've seen students from the beginning and further when they already established their careers, because the Alliance has been going for so many years. So maybe you can provide some examples for us to see this perspective. Yes, where students start and where do they end up? What do they end up doing? And maybe how this Neuroscience Alliance contributes in a way to this career development.
All right. I just give you the one example. This student came to me after Brain B, and he wanted to do the research in my lab. And with the great idea, so then I accepted him, although he was a high school student. And then he worked in my lab, and actually we made a patent with him. And then, of course, he came to UCF afterwards. And then he finished the UCF quite soon. And then now he's assistant professor in a community college now. And then maybe he want to move, a little bit more research area. Now he's teaching, but he want to move to the research area. That's kind of student I have seen. And then definitely, Brain B to come, and then Neuroscience Alliance to grow. So that's the kind of typical way of developing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I think it's great also to hear for high school students that even they already at that level, those who are passionate about the field, they can do amazing things, even get a patent, together with the faculty and do really interesting things and get involved. So thank you. Thank you for mentioning
Can I
that.
add one more?
Of
So
course.
then So then I forgot to tell you that, this Neuroscience Alliance student, they go to the high school and teaching them for the preparation for this Brain B. That's a great interaction.
Yes, absolutely. And they're also learning how to teach. And that's why they can teach afterwards. They can also work as TAs because they already get this experience. And then after graduating, they also can already teach at the universities, like you mentioned in this example. Yes, and of course, when we teach, we also learn even better. Yes, so many advantages of this. Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much, Professor Sugaya. And now my question is about the challenges in career development. So what do you think are the challenges that students commonly face on their career journey in neuroscience and STEM? And how do you think this Neuroscience Alliance is helping to overcome those challenges? Who would like to start? And probably you hear, from students saying, I really have difficulties with networking. Yes, or, I really have difficulties with maybe learning about certain field. Yes, so whatever you've heard, you personally, and paid attention, and you saw that this Neuroscience Alliance, it can help solve those problems. Yeah. Yes, May? Mm-hmm.
I feel like one of the biggest barriers in terms of like building your career and just getting yourself out there, I guess, is actually knowing what's out there. And what I mean by that is like what programs are there, what internships, what opportunities should you be going for? Because it's not really the type of thing that you learn in classes. You don't really sit down in a class, well, unless like your professor is just like shouting it out someday. You don't really learn about like research internships or like shadowing, like where you can do that if you're a pre-med student, things of that sort. I feel like we, as Neuroscience Alliance, have been trying to make an effort to essentially put that information out there. I personally hosted a research workshop recently where I talked about my experience at Brown University over the summer through a research program they have. And I basically just shouted out a bunch of different research programs. Andrei, you can also speak a lot about this because he was the one who originally told me about it. Other example of how Neuroscience Alliance has helped a ton. Networking and meeting other people, you also get to figure out what is out there. And I just feel like it's one of the really important things that you get out of this organization and the people you meet through it.
Yeah, thank you very much for mentioning that, May. Yes, and indeed, when I meet students, this is the biggest challenge, networking. One of the main challenges that people and don't know how to network and really don't have access to network. Yes, so let's learn more about that. I see Andrei is nodding. Yes, Andrei, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think whatever May said there is correct. Absolutely, and she kind of pointed out there. It's like May is a year below me. I was able to kind of tell her like, hey, there's this thing called the Leadership Alliance. Maybe you should apply over the summer, and then they did, and they did wonderfully. And now they have this Brown poster, and it's wonderful. And I think like that's one of the core things that students can do for other students. Like me and Sudeepta have had that kind of conversation like literally all the time. But in terms of like more general of what I hear, yeah, I think that like students are just generally scared to reach out. And I don't think that's necessarily their fault. It's a big world out there with many words that they don't even know, and reaching out to these mega professors is very difficult. But like what I've learned, and I think, what May would agree with me here is like, just reach out. Like things get so much like neuroscience professionals are generally very nice. They will be very happy to email you back and to talk. And if they don't email you back, just assume they didn't see it, right? Like that's what you do. And so I found that, especially recently, like that's been a big thing. Like just put yourself out there, get your foot in the door. Neuroscience Alliance, especially here at UCF, helps pretty much anyone in it get their foot in the door, because if you go up to any of the neuroscience professors, you can say, hey, I'm part of Neuroscience Alliance. Immediately, the professors are like, oh, okay, let me help you immediately. That's why I was able to get like leadership positions and TA positions and all that, just because like they had already met me a little bit. And success kind of compounds. So once you get a good mentor to here at the university, getting mentors at other places is much easier already, because they'll do a lot of the work for you. So yeah, just kind of getting their foot in the door. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Yes, Sudeepta. Mm-hmm.
Yes, just to kind of follow up on what Andrei and May are talking about. Andrei is absolutely right. Like, Andrei has connected me to so many resources here at UCF. He was the reason that I ended up studying abroad and actually submitting that application, because I was so scared to just like submit it, because I was like, what if I don't get it? What if I get rejected? But in the end, what I realized from Andrei and so many other, leadership individuals at NSA is that just submitting an application is more than enough. You never know what's going to happen. Because of that, I was able to network with so many professors here at UCF. It's connected to me to other clubs where I can network even more with the professors involved with that club. And yeah, I spent a month in Europe. It was literally the best month of my life. I have connections to those students who've connected to me to like a neuroradiologist that I've been in touch with, and clinical psych PhD students. So it's all about just like submitting that application or, sending that request to join an organization. That's all it really is about, just making that first step.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Sudeepta. Okay, Charisse?
One thing I did want to add is that sometimes it may feel like NSA is geared more towards pre-meds and just like medical side of things. And I've been able to do my own networking even like through NSA, but outside of that field. So for example, I met Emily there and she had, I think it was her boyfriend's brother's girlfriend. um, she was an audiologist, and so she gave me her contact. I like set up a meeting with her. I was able to really ask specific questions, and she was more than happy to help me. And I just want to encourage anyone to just really just don't be afraid to talk about your interests. Even if you feel like you're the outsider, you can find space. Everyone here just wants to support you. That's how I felt in NSA, and I just think it's so valuable to have as a community here at UCF.
Thank you very much, Charisse. And can you, each of you, think of something that you are proud the most during this time after joining the Neuroscience Alliance? Yes, Sudeepta.
I can say without a doubt, the thing that I'm most proud of at UCF that I've been involved with is the Central Florida Brain Bee. I started out as a volunteer during my freshman year, and then I didn't think I was going to get any position with leadership in NSA, but I tried it. I ended up being the PR manager during my sophomore year, and then I was the event manager during my junior year, and now I'm the executive manager for the Brain Bee. So it's definitely something that I've committed a lot of my time to, and I'm very, very passionate about Brain Bee. No matter what grad school I end up pursuing, I know I'm going to be involved with the Brain Bee there, just because I'm very, very passionate. Like the entire foundation of my, academics and what I'm pursuing is that I think that educational and academic resources and opportunities should be available to everybody, regardless of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, which I think, especially in the past couple of years after COVID, we've made that, our mission as the Central Florida Brain Bee team. We've been doing outreach to so many different high schools that don't have opportunities like this, so that we can connect them to a competition that is completely free of charge. Like students don't pay anything to be able to participate. It's fully out of their own passion. So I've been involved with the education side of things, making the material, going and teaching. I'm sure Andrei has a lot of experience with that. So seeing how I was involved with it in high school and where I've come out now as a senior at UCF, it's the thing that I've fallen back to a lot. And it's been so consistent throughout my UCF career. And it's shown me that I'm capable. Also, it's given me confidence with public speaking, networking, leadership. And I know that no matter what I do in the future, I'm going to be okay because I have this experience and I've been through the challenges. And I think that's a very similar story to a lot of the executive members at UCF and Neuroscience Alliance. So
yeah, it gave you that confidence. Yes, so no matter what, I will be able to make it. Thank you. Yes, Andrei.
Yeah. What Sudeepta won't tell you is that everyone that works with her really, really just like is in awe about her ability to organize. She's literally like the most like the best organizer I've ever seen. Like I take notes all the time. It's like it's very like a great experience for someone like me who can often be forgetful to see how she does everything. It's like, oh my gosh, like how do you people exist? It's fantastic. And while probably my answer is also with the Brain Bee and the fact that last year we had 17 people from all over Orlando, like in different socioeconomic backgrounds and all that, present their posters. Like they did lit reviews and then presented them and then got to meet neuroscience professors from UCF that talk to them. That for sure is probably like objectively I think the best thing that me and Sudeepta have done together. But in terms of what I like the most is an event called we go to Orlando Science Center, massive science museum in Orlando, and we do a lot of dissections there. So we'll take a sheep brain and we'll do a mid-sagittal cut and we'll open it up and we'll show them these little things. Most of the time though, you're talking with like 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and they have no idea what a hypothalamus is. They don't care, and that's fine because you have to find other ways to kind of engage with them. You'll put a styrofoam brain in a jar and shake it up and tell them like, this is why you wear your helmet. or you give them Duramater, hard leathery, and they'll grab onto it and you play tug of war with them, and all of a sudden you've turned this like grotesque thing that's really, really complicated, and you're seeing their parents like watch their kids really engage with it and really love it. And that is easily the like best feeling I ever get every single year. We do it twice a semester, and going home that day is so great because you're like, oh my gosh, like that was so much fun. And yeah, you just see a big impact on kids that are so like, so young. It's wonderful. Mhm.
Thank you so much. Your passion shines through, Andrei. Yes, and thank you so much for doing these amazing things. Yeah. May?
On the topic of teaching kids things, I wanted to mention STEM Day, which is one of the opportunities I've been really happy to be a part of. STEM Day is an activity that we get to take part in every semester, where UCF brings in kids K through 12 from all over the area, and different STEM organizations or labs or PIs or whatnot can have activities for them. We personally like to have activities for elementary schoolers where we teach them about like the different lobes and the brainstem and the cerebellum through fun little activities. Like, for example, the first one that I was a part of, I was one of the directors for it, helping like create the event, manage the volunteers, all that fun stuff. And I did it with another person in NSA, and we essentially played characters as me as Dr. Frankenstein and her as Frankenstein's monster. And what the kids did is that they built the different lobes of the brain and gave them to the monster and saw what the monster would be able to do as they got it. So like they would get the brainstem and would start to be able to breathe. They would get the cerebellum and they could start to walk normally, things like that. And it was really fun to get the kids excited about it and then like ask their inputs, see essentially the light bulb flick on in their head when they realize like what that part of the brain does. So yeah, it's been a super cool activity. I've been really happy to be able to help manage it, and I just handed it off to another group of students that did amazingly with it this semester. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great example. And also, it shows that all this process helps you to become creative. Yes, because you are coming up with these approaches, with these ideas, how to present the material, how to engage students, kids. Yes, so it's a very creative process that also is very important in your studies, in your future research, in your future work, and so on and so forth. So thank you for sharing that. Charisse, is there anything you are really proud of while being in this process of studying neuroscience and being in the Alliance?
Yes, so something that I'm really proud of is the amount of schools that we've been able to reach. I've been in charge of that this year, and it's just my passion stems from where Sudeepta was saying earlier, just that wanting to make all these materials accessible to people from all backgrounds. Because personally, I went to schools that didn't have many programs. They had the basic courses. They had a few APs, but no clubs. There wasn't music or sports. So to come now to UCF, which is such a big university, and have like all these opportunities, it's like, wow, I thankfully and very gratefully I'm put in this position, but I know where I came from. I know those students, they mean so much to me, and I want to be able to reach them and help them have greater access to this, because I know that if I had this when I was younger in high school, I would have been in Brain B like every year because it's just such a great opportunity, and I'm so glad and proud of just how much we've expanded outreach this year.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for mentioning that, Charisse. And now I have a question to Professor Sugaya. The students are really passionate about the Brain B. Yes, everyone who is speaking today, they are. So how did this decision came into place to create this program of Brain B? Because you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that was one thing that Neuroscience Alliance started with, that it was Brain B. Why did you think that is important, and what prompted you to include this in the program?
Yeah, already I mentioned that Brain Bee itself started by the high school student side. So then the high school teacher, they have a science program, and then he had a good conversation with me because he wanted to know the neuroscience. And then he found this Brain Bee, International Brain Bee, and then introduced me. And then after that, I cannot run a Brain Bee by myself, just me alone. No way. Particularly going to the high school to teach. Now I think we have like a 12, 13 high school involved, more or less, right? So then no way to go there everywhere. So then I asked the Neuroscience Alliance student, can you help us? And then they're willing to help us. So then that's the starting point. And then afterwards, I didn't have to do anything. They organized everything. I just go to the Brain Bee and say hello to everybody, and then that's about it. So then, and then at the end, I said, I like to thank all the student volunteers doing this, and that's it. So then, everything is spontaneous. So.
Thank you so much, Professor Sugaya. And my question is now, how much does it depend on the faculty and how much does it depend on students to keep this organization going?
Well, maybe I can tell you first. Actually, the faculty, nothing, everything by student, right? So then before COVID, actually we do some, but they're not directly related to their activity. For example, before COVID, we had like 2 times per year at the pool party at my home. Yeah, that was fun. And then I'm thinking to start this year back again, right? Yeah, it's fun. That way, I'm gonna invite the doctors and then the professors, those people too. So then the student easily to access with those, the people they want to have a connection with. That's one. Another thing we're doing is the neuroscience retreat. That's the once a year we do the kind of convention at the College of Medicine. And then all the students welcome to attend. Even they make the very nice poster session. And then in there also we take the question, not just the scientific question, but also their career, what they want to do or what they can do, go for that particular career or something. So then that's the only things we are helping. Other than that, everything run by them. Particularly like this Brain Bee things. Like I said, no. Nothing we are not doing.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Sugaya. So if everything is run by students, what is the structure of this alliance? Yes, because there should be somebody at least coordinating all this work. Yes, you guys should be brainstorming, meeting each other, at certain regular times. Can you tell a little bit more about that structure and organization so that other people who are listening to us, they would know what it is all about and maybe start thinking about creating something like that? Who wants to start? Sudeepta.
I think the past couple of years we've been working on it, with the structure of how leadership should be, what works best, what makes the most sense, and what's the most efficient. We have an amazing president, vice president, kind of oversee everything. They delegate tasks. They coordinate with the actual organizations first. They kind of do the foot in the door with them. We have May, an amazing secretary. Oh my goodness, she does more than I can even comprehend. She's in charge of room reservations and GBM slideshows and networking with other professors and getting guest speakers to connect our members with. And we have a treasurer as well, Patricia, who does a phenomenal job at making sure that we actually have money to, make stuff happen. She goes out of her way to plan these things called partial proceeds at Chipotle, Blaze Pizza. It's a huge team effort. And I'm a new addition to the executive board as the executive manager for BrainBee. And I have kind of like a board of my own, I guess, which Andrei and Charisse are part of. We have research managers, volunteering managers, PR managers, education managers. We have a huge team that's split off into more teams. So it's very important that we are kind of all on the same page. So we have probably more than at least 2 meetings a week just to make sure that we're all on track, especially with BrainBee, since it's almost like a whole conference on its own that we're planning. So, at these meetings, it doesn't matter who's in charge of them. It can be anybody, because I personally want everyone to have the opportunity to kind of give their insight. At least that's the way I do it with BrainBee and the board. I'm sure Andrei and Charisse have more input on that. But that's been the main how leadership has been working with Neuroscience Alliance. It's a team effort. So,
How big is the team? How many people are involved?
we have 5 executive managers. BrainBee has about 7 working on the conference or the competition. And then we have a director board of about, I think you have a better number than I do.
I think it's 7 off the top of my head. Might be wrong though.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big team, but it's what's required to make sure, we're being consistent on social media to engage members, to make sure that we get enough speakers and also make these like huge events like BrainBee and OSC happen. So it's very necessary. It's a huge time commitment, but it's so worth it in the end.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that, especially the time commitment. So I will talk about this a little bit later, because you also need to have enough time for your studies and doing things for the Alliance and supporting it. Thank you. Anybody who would like to add to what Sudeepta was saying about the structure organization? Yes, Charisse, please.
So one thing I really wanted to mention really quickly is that although I am part of the BrainBee board, it's not exclusively like us working everything. So sure, we will be leading it all and doing most of like the heavy lifting, but I've had directors from the directors board come and help me reach out to Brevard schools, for example, schools in Brevard County, because they had special connections. So this is why I think it's really important to talk about things, just reach out, because you never know well, everyone's pretty willing to help, but who has just a connection that maybe you never thought you would have, or would just be able to give you an idea on how to shape a project in a way that you didn't think before. So I think all in all, we all just help each other to make this the best that we can.
Thank you very much, Charisse. Yes, Andrei, do you have anything to add?
I think so. Like, as I said, Sudeepta, this is like her perfect role. This is why I talked about her organizational skills, because when it comes down to organization, at least within the BrainBee, that is all on Sudeepta, and she does a fantastic job. And it's because she's been doing it. Like she was the PR manager before me, and then when I was the PR manager, she turned into the event manager, and then now she's executive, and there's a reason for that. So in terms of that's great. It's in total, the club is 40 members, with again about 20 of them being executive, in some capacity or another. I think it works that way really well. There's always going to be year-to-year little changes, because you're always trying to maximize like efficiency, but also like redundancy. We are college students, and we do have exams, and sometimes that means that things aren't going to be done by the first person. So you need other people in line, but also, you want to make sure that everyone has a role that they are happy with if they complete fully. So yeah, it's always a give and take. Every club is going to be a little bit different. I think it helps that we had kind of 2 separate organizations that were pretty much set up and then merged. I think if most schools have a Neuroscience Alliance, if they want to add a BrainBee, I think that's a really good idea. It'll gain you a lot more people, a lot more access just in general. I think as a general trend for how these clubs work, the more members you have, the better your events and the more fun you're going to have.
Thank you very much, Andrei. And my next question is exactly about that managing time. So, and Sudeepta already mentioned that, and Andrei mentioned that. Maybe you have some practical advice for those who want to get involved or who is already involved and is still struggling with the time management, yes, between your studies and involvement in the organization. What can you recommend from your own experience? Yes, Sudeepta?
Yeah, I have always put emphasis on asking for help. There is a leadership board for a reason. It's so that everyone can ask each other for help. Like, we've had 2 hurricanes. It's not easy to recover from that, especially, because everything got pushed back. We've missed so many deadlines. But it's important to keep in mind that we're all here to help each other out, and we have such a big board. So there's no reason for someone to put it all on themselves. And BrainBee and Neuroscience Alliance, leadership, we do such a great job at asking each other for help. And that's the only way things can be done. For example, the education team for BrainBee, who makes all of the education and teaching material, they're the ones that coordinate what schools are on what chapters from the Brain Facts textbook to make sure the students are prepared. They were having a hard time finishing everything because it's a lot. It's a pretty big textbook. So we were able to recruit someone that actually competed in high school who is at UNC now, Aditya. He's amazing. He's helped us out an insane amount. And I've been able to help out. Andrei's been able to help out. NSA directors, executive board, they've all been able to help out with teaching sessions, making sure that there's volunteers to actually go and teach the material to the students as well. So it's a very collaborative environment, and I think that's what makes NSA work, and that's why it's manageable, even though we're all full-time students, probably with, several jobs. So I think that's what's been working for us.
Thank you very much, Sudeepta. And now, Professor Sugaya, the question is for you. I want to talk a little bit more about the challenges. So maybe you can recall what were the main challenges when you were just starting the organization, yes, many years ago, and how were you able to resolve them? For those who might be starting right now, something like this.
Actually, we didn't experience any problem with the student, the organization. Surprisingly, they are willing to, get together, willing to help, devote the time. I had a problem with the faculty. The faculty tend to be lazy, and then even if I appointed somebody for something, and then the missing so many times, yeah. But the student-wise, they always do whatever they committed to do. So that's the part I love to work with them. And then I never had any problem with them.
Yes. Yeah, that's good to know. Yes, and also that sometimes you need maybe to be a little bit more facilitating faculty, yes, rather than students. So students are active, but you need to encourage faculty more. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Sugaya. So there is nothing to really worry much about at the start. So what about now? Yes, this is the question to all of the students. What are the biggest challenges for you running the organization at the moment, and how you are solving those challenges?
They're student. That means the people graduating. So turnover, that's always happening. And then they have to pass those information and how to organize those know-how and everything to the next generation. I think that's the toughest things. But now they are solving a little bit better. So then those executives, they start a little bit younger, not just a senior, and then sometimes junior, sometimes even the sophomore to start, and then the ground up. By doing so, they start learning how to do that from the those senior student. So that's what I see.
Yes, yes, but that's very important. And maybe some of the students will talk about that. How do they organize things that then it can be transferred to other people after they graduate? Yes, thank you. That's a very important moment. Who would like to comment? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dr. Sagayas said it really well there. So if all of us were able to do our same roles year after year after year, the Brain Bee would have like multiple thousands of students. It would be a world-renowned event. Like that's just the truth, because that's like the hardest part is that every year some of us will leave, and oftentimes those are the people that are overseeing the most difficult roles, and we have to pass them off to someone else. And I will be very sad when Sudeepta leaves, because she's been doing this for 3 years. She knows the whole process, right? I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet. And it really, this is a administrative role more than it is anything else. So what all the hardest things that we're learning is like, okay, how to assign meetings and how to make sure that you're always at them, or how to make sure that if you're not at them, how are you accounting for that? Like, we now hire the people that we're now kind of accepting who is going to be the next person in our role, which helps a lot because you can kind of one-on-one talk to them. We also try to make these documents essentially that are like passed down with roles, and ideally like even with deadlines and examples of like emails that you sent or this or that and all that. And I think all of that compounds with the fact that every year you want it to be better. You never want to enter the role, know that there's a lot of stuff already being put in, and then give out the same product, right? Because then it's like, okay, well, great, what have I done? So it's the fact that we do all of this, and every year we want to make better. We want to make, like this year we're making a Google Classroom, and we're making all of these lectures that we're putting out, and more materials that are much more hands-on. And so it's the fact that we're learning all of those basic life skills on top of trying to improve upon them, on top of being like full-time students. So yeah, there's a lot of roles that play into it. It's a lot of skills that play into it. It's one of the best things I think we've all ever done. So
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. And definitely it helps you to also learn about organizing things. Yes, passing down things from one generation to another. Yes, May, please.
On the note of turning over and passing on our knowledge, one of the greatest things about NSA that I wanted to mention was our directorship positions. I had the pleasure of being a director my freshman year, actually. I was one of 4 event directors. Essentially, what they are is it's a position where you work under an executive board member. For example, event directors work under the president. Me as secretary now, I have marketing and outreach directors that work with like social media and tabling and things of that sort. And it's a really good way to I guess get your foot in the door and kind of see what's going on, and work under an executive board member, because even if you're not working under the exact role you want to go into, it's very nice to get an idea of like the ebb and flow of like what are the meetings like, what is like the focus of the things they go over, how do they set deadlines, things of that sort.
Thank you very much, May. Anybody else wants to add? Yes, Sudeepta?
Yeah, it's almost like a training program that we've been doing for the past couple of years. With Brain Bee, at least, as event manager last year, I kind of took the initiative with having shadows for each of our positions, so that they could, students that want to get involved but they're not sure what's the right fit for them can also kind of experiment, see what they want to do, what club they want to be involved with. So I had 2 event manager shadows. One of them is our event manager now, and another one is one of our education managers now. So I think they had a great time with it, and now they're still involved. And I think that's what has worked for our club, almost like a training program. And what Andrei was talking about earlier, the documents, essentially what they are, our president took initiative with that and called them handbooks. Super, super detailed, exactly what each position entails, email templates so that, they're not kind of just like thrown into the position, because that's very difficult to handle. And I also made sure with Brain Bee that, for example, like our event manager met with our previous event managers so that, she could train her as well. So it's essentially just training that I think has helped NSA the past couple of years.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sudeepta. And now, again, a question for Professor Sugaya, as you were at the beginning of everything. The question is, if you would give an advice for those students who hear us right now as we're speaking, and they get this idea, we also want to have this alliance at our university. What steps should they take? Should they approach faculty? What's the best way to approach? So what would be the best way to create something like this at their place?
All right. At the university, of course, you need a faculty mentor. That's the kind of rule for the university. Because if anything goes wrong, the faculty has to take care of. Faculty has to have a responsibility, that kind of things. So that's the first things. But the first, you need to have a group, good, a group. You can talk, and then willing to do something. And then you need to know that those executives, they are not the dictator or anything. So then they are the kind of servant to help all those students. That kind of, the perception, if they can share, that kind of group they want to make first, and then come to faculty, me. I think that's a good way to approach.
Thank you. Thank you. And maybe we can also hear from students. How would you see this initiative coming from students? Like it would be coming from you if there wouldn't be this initiative, there wouldn't be this alliance, and you want to make it happen. So what would you do? What would be your recommendation? Yes, May.
Just as Sugaya was saying, leadership is a position of service. To anyone who wants to start something like this, you have to think how best you can serve members in the club, because that's what gets them to come back. That's what gets them excited. That's what gets them motivated. I absolutely agree with that, 100%. Also doing a little bit of research to know what things you can provide to your members. For example, even though we've done our event at Orlando Science Center much before my time here, I imagine someone originally had to start that. Someone had to go out and reach out to 10 people before they got one yes. And it's kind of a hard part of the process, but it's one that needs to happen.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, May. Yes, anybody else would like to add? Yes, Andrei?
I think if Neuroscience Alliance didn't start 10 years ago, it would have started 9, and if not 8, and then if not 7. It's kind of what happens when you have a powder keg of really excited neuroscience students, and there's only going to be more of us. Neuroscience is only ever expanding. And then it takes one student to reach out to one faculty. That faculty lights a fuse, and then immediately it just pops up, and now you have this kind of massive thing in 10 years. And yeah, and it is a position of service. Maybe the first year you go and you're trying to establish yourself in the club, and you okay, what can I do? And then you'll quickly realize that every other year is about, well, how can I best address? And then it's either the other undergraduates with you, which is a lot of fun, or all the elementary schoolers and middle schoolers in your area, which is really rewarding, or it's it's all these other things that you're trying to think about. And then it's just okay, well, I've developed my tools for a year. Now, how do I use those tools to do cool things that other people want to have happen? And I think we've been particularly lucky. I think we've had some really good faculty. Whenever we ask faculty hey, can you look at the final exam that we're going to give these kids, or can you give a talk at our general body meeting for the undergrads? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes, and they follow through, and it's wonderful. I've also started other clubs here at UCF, and I know the process is similar, but the process is the same. You have to have the group first, and then just get that one lucky faculty member. From there, it's really all up to you, and try to provide for the rest of your community to get them to join you and all that.
Thank you so much. Now, my next question is for those who are now getting curious about this organization. Maybe these are high school students, maybe these are already students at UCF, and they want to join the alliance. So, for how can they do it, and what's available there for them? What are the roles that they can take on, and how they can participate?
UCF has this amazing platform. I'm not sure if other universities have it, but it's called Knights Connect. What it does, it connects Knights to different opportunities and resources at UCF. And a lot of the opportunities that it has is clubs. I think there's like hundreds of organizations at UCF since we are such a big school, and we're so lucky to have that. But essentially all it is you know, for example, if you're looking for Neuroscience Alliance, you type in neuroscience, you find Neuroscience Alliance. What I did was I made sure to follow them on like social media and stuff. And usually that's where they'll post announcements about when they're going to meet first, what's their first event. And going to those meetings, making yourself a familiar face, especially to the executive board, I think is so, so important to making those connections to essentially like in the future get a leadership position if that's something that is important to someone. I think for me, I was friends with the president and vice president. They had given me so much advice about research and med school because I was still very unsure about what I wanted to do. And I think they were able to see my commitment and my passion for neuroscience and gave me the opportunity to work on BrainBee. And that's exactly what I try to do as someone that's a little bit higher up in the leadership now, is to just connect members from all sorts of majors, whether that's psychology, CSD, or sociology, philosophy. In the end, like there's a very underlying, like they're just trying to get involved with neuroscience. So I think that's the best way that I would suggest for someone to actually get into the club.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to add anything? Andrei? Yep.
If you're a UCF undergraduate, this is very funny that you have found us at this podcast. You can, as Sudeepta said, Neuroscience Alliance at UCF or something on Instagram, and all that. If you are a high schooler, that's even more incredible that you have found us. But if you happen to be in the Central Florida area at all, on either coast and kind of in between University of Florida and University of Miami, because they have their own brain bees, then you're in our territory, and you can just reach out. I don't remember our email. I'm sure Charisse knows and Sudeepta knows, but yeah, we'd be happy to kind of like, bring you in. You get to meet the professors, you get to compete and meet us and whatever. That'd be awesome. If we could get someone from there. But yeah, practically that's how you would find us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, real quick, like a lot of the schools that when I was PR that I was able to get into the competition was just from a simple email. They weren't afraid to reach out, and they did, and they were able to open up their entire school to this opportunity, which I think is so beautiful. I've become like really like good friends with some of these students who I'm now seeing like they're committing to college, and I'm just like, you were a baby 2 years ago. What do you mean? And one of them is now working with us, and it's so crazy. And I think a simple email can like fully change the course of your academic career.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. And now my next question is about the neuroscience, because you're all passionate about it. And like Andrei said, that it's so amazing. The field is growing and there will be more and more people joining it because it's really fascinating. So maybe each of you can just briefly tell us what fascinates you in neuroscience.
I'm assuming I'm going first again.
Yes, okay, Sudeepta, yep.
It took me a while to figure out what I was actually interested in with neuroscience because it is such a huge field. Oh my goodness. I think what scared me the most about neuroscience was like the computational side, which I think is anyone in computational neuroscience I have so much respect for. It's so impressive. But yeah, when I first committed to UCF, I was actually a biomedical sciences major on the neuroscience track. I thought I wanted to be a neurologist, but then I found it really hard to stick to it almost. Like it was hard to like keep being passionate about neuroscience for whatever reason. I couldn't figure out why. Had a crisis about it before I realized that what I was really interested in was the intersection of behavior and the brain. And now I'm a psychology major on the neuroscience track with a minor in cognitive sciences. And I've realized now that it's actually what I'm passionate about. And UCF has a opportunity called the Honors Undergraduate Thesis, which you have full control about what direction you want to take your research with. So you conduct your own study, you make your own research design, your own method, methodology, whatever. And after doing a little bit of research with some professors in the social work department and the CSD department, I realized what I'm really interested in is neurodevelopment and suicidality. So that's what I've fully committed my undergraduate years to, and will commit my graduate years and the rest of my life. It's what I'm passionate about, figuring out, the interplay between autism specifically and the prevalence of suicidality and suicidal behaviors. That's what I'm interested in. Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out, but I'm here now and I absolutely love it. So
Thank you for sharing that, Sudeepta. Maybe you can tell us a little bit what helped you to figure this out, because you were searching, yes, you couldn't find it, and finally you did, and that's so important. Maybe you can share how you did it, because this happens to many of other students. So maybe it will give them some a key to find out theirs.
yeah, going into UCF, I thought I wasn't ever going to switch my major. I didn't think, it was almost like there's like stigma to that, I feel like, switching your major. I switched my minor twice, so change is not something I'm afraid of, for sure, especially if it's something that I'm passionate about. I think the resources at UCF specifically that helped me was talking to my advisor. The biomedical sciences department has an amazing advising team who are actually passionate about connecting their students to what they're passionate about. I was like, maybe I want to do forensic science or communication sciences and disorders. I didn't know. So what my advisor, Dr. Murray Lemon, suggested to me was to do some research, figure out what internships you're doing excites you. And it all started from a random internship that I did in the ABA field. ABA is not my strict passion, but I realized there that neurodevelopment was what I wanted to do. And then from there, I did more internships with psychiatrists, shadowing different psych assistants. And I realized psych evaluations, diagnostic testing, and making that more accessible and more applicable to all different genders and, whatever racial backgrounds was what I was passionate about. So I ended up switching my major to psychology on the neuroscience track and continued to pursue what actually excites me and not what pressure was putting on me, if that makes sense. But actually listening to myself essentially was what helped me.
Yeah, thank you so much for mentioning that. That is very important. Yeah, thank you, Sudeepta. Who would like to speak next? Charisse? Yeah.
So with my major, it's CSD, but there's typically two different tracks. So it's SLP and then audiology. SLP is speech language pathology. And so I originally came in with that in mind. I was very sure about it. But then as I was taking my courses and we were introduced a little bit more to audiology, I started realizing, oh, this is something that's really interesting to me, but I wasn't willing to let go of SLP because I was so sure that's what I wanted to do. So what helped me decide that, yes, I'm going to be going for audiology is I talked to my professors. I had one from speech science, which was I think it was my second semester here, my first or second semester here at UCF. Then I talked to my audiology professor this semester. I really asked so many questions. She was great. She answered questions I didn't even know that I had or that was something to consider. She was able to connect me with a shadowing opportunity, and I was also able to talk to people through NISLA, which is a pre-professional organization at UCF, geared specifically towards speech and language. And through there, I've made a lot of friends who are also interested in audiology. They've given me more connections. NSA through Emily has given me more connections, and it's really just talking and not being so afraid, or just taking that initiative that hey, this is what I'm really interested in. Do you know anything about it? Even if they don't, they can reach out to somebody who might know. We're all connected, even though it's such a big camp. And I feel like it's just proven over and over again that it's a smaller world than we might think.
Thank you, Charisse. Yes, Andrei, so you wanted also to say something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the greatest, it's kind of a double-edged sword about neuroscience is like you can add neuro in front of any other field, and now you've made a new legitimate field that like 10 people are already working on. There's already a master, right? So it's very exciting, but it's like, well, which one do I choose? And like I was in the same boat. I like neuropolicy a lot, and I like behavioral neuroscience a lot, which I've learned this semester. And I'm coming to really enjoy medical neuroscience as well. And so I guess practical advice would be like, one, yeah, so go to whatever speaks to you, but also go to wherever other people are opening this to let you in. So like if other people are like want you and are willing to take you, I would follow that before you go and try to reach for other things that you don't necessarily know of. What that means for me is like I really like neuroscience and policy. I'm now in a neuroscience and policy lab, but before that, I was like, okay, I just want a neuroscience project. Or I wanted to get a research project. I was big into research before even neuroscience. I joined an engineering lab, ended up being able to kind of morph my way into getting a neuroscience project, even though they haven't worked on anything above the heart in like 10 years. And so that's been great, and that's what I'm gonna now do my thesis on. But now it's better for me because not only was I and they immediately accepted me, which was amazing. Like I got into the door that way, and that gave me then the free time, or at least the confidence to know like, okay, I can do this stuff. Now let me go look for the other stuff. Now let me go look for the neuroscience and policy. And so now I can do both. And it's great. But I got in first doing something that, I mean, my first research project here was like looking at heart rate variability in music, like something that I didn't particularly care all that much about, that I ended up learning to love. But like originally I was like, the heck is wrong with this? And then over time you realize like, no, you're able to kind of merge your way in. Neuroscience will find its tentacles kind of everywhere. So yeah, that's sort of it. Go where they take you, and then you can go and look on your own.
Yeah, thank you, Andrei. Yes, May. Mm-hmm.
On the note of figuring out your interests, one of the things I wanted to mention was just expose yourself to everything that you can. And that doesn't necessarily even mean like, oh, you have to be like in a lab doing this to figure out if you're interested. You can just go and read articles online. You can search up like what different like fields of neuroscience there are, see like what type of research there is in each of those fields and whether that interests you. I know one of the things that really helped me was our trip to the Society for Neuroscience conference recently in Chicago, where you could basically walk around and look at just every flavor of neuroscience you'd like to on a poster, and seeing such like a diversity of research interests and focuses and methods and whatnot really helped me figure out what I was interested in and what didn't interest me as much as I thought it or initially did. Like a lot of you guys have said already, I'm also interested in behavioral neuroscience, and I'm actually still developing my interest as I go. I've also recently realized I was interested in plant science and ecology, and I'm thinking of tying neuroscience and plant science through pollinator neuroscience. For example, like looking at how like maybe like bees navigate and what processes are neurologically involved there and how they can be impacted by environmental factors such as pollutants. And it's a very uncommon field, but the way I got to it was by just exploring, seeing everything that was out there until something eventually just started to click for me. And honestly, that was like as of a few weeks ago, even though I've known I was interested in neuroscience for, I want to say like well over 2 years now. So yeah, just get out there, look at everything you can.
Yes. Thank you so much, May. Actually, we had a very nice podcast, one of our first Neurocareers podcast with Professor Lars Chitka from the UK. and he is very well established figure in this field. He studied bees behavior. You might be interested in learning and reading, maybe connecting with him and listening to this podcast. He also wrote a book, A Mind of a Bee. So that's something, I just thought you might be interested, but it's amazing field, and there are so many new things that are being explored currently, and new knowledge that is being derived. Yes, thank you for sharing that. And now my question is, we talked a lot today. I think we covered many different areas, but maybe there is something that you still wanted to share and we didn't touch upon that yet. Yes. So who would like to say something that maybe you want to discuss, but we didn't talk about it? Yes, Sudeepta. Yep.
Well, I think we haven't really talked about how NSA provides for our members to go to the Society of Neuroscience conference. Yeah,
yes, I was thinking about this when May mentioned this. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Sudeepta.
like one of like the coolest parts about NSA. I think NSA has only recently started doing that. I think Andrei and I were both in the first year that we did it, and then May also joined us earlier this year in November or October, I forget. But yeah, it's so cool. The UCF has a program where they send students, like fully funded, to go to conferences like this to enhance our like educational knowledge. And Society for Neuroscience is honestly so great for NSA just because of how many broad backgrounds our members come from and how many broad, topics that Society for Neuroscience touches on. Like, even though I'm a psychology major on the neuroscience track that doesn't really do the very strict neurobiology sort of research or anything like that, I still take a lot out of it. I was able to network with a professor at ASU who has been doing like leading research with autism, and I was able to talk to her about it. And, now I kind of have my foot in the door with ASU. So it's truly like a great opportunity. They host grad panels and like a huge where you can walk around and talk to representatives from a lot of grad schools like NYU, UF was there, I think, Harvard, Yale. So I thought that was a very, very cool opportunity that NSA has started. And I hope that other neuroscience alliances can also start to do, because I think it's so cool.
Yes, absolutely. What does it take to get to a conference like that? What did you need to prepare to submit? Is there an application? What is the process behind it?
Yeah, I personally wasn't too involved with that process. I know UCF has a lot of documentation that they ask for, passport signatures, but our president Vanessa and treasurer Patricia worked very, very hard to make it happen. I wish that we could get like the entire board to be able to talk, because I think there's so many people involved with so many different things. But yeah, I think on our end, like all we had to do was pay for our membership at SFN, and we've been able to go for the past 2 years, which I'm gonna hopefully continue to do even though I'm graduating. Like has become such a like important part of my like year. I hope that other schools have opportunities like that too.
Yes. Thank you very much for sharing that. That's the best conference, the largest, neuroscience conference in the world, because people come not only from the States, but from all other countries and meet during that conference. And there are so many opportunities to network and learn. Yes, that's absolutely amazing. Okay. Anything else? Maybe who would like to mention something that maybe we forgot and you think it's important to mention it here? Yes, Sudeepta? Yep.
I also think of one more thing. We do brain dissections.
Yes.
I think, Andrei, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. That's true. Yeah. So yeah, we do brain dissections. That is kind of a prerequisite to go to the Orlando Science Center for like a lot of us. I talked about it a little bit already, but it's a great experience. I mean, I've done brain dissection since I was a high schooler. You take the sheep brain, as I said, you do the mid-sagittal cut, you go and you show them all the different parts. The best time is when a kid will start just like pointing at stuff. What does this do? And what does that do? And it's really funny when like a parent will come up to you fully knowing that you're a college student, and then they'll ask you about like a disease. Like at a time where I was doing one of them, and a parent came up to me and they go, "What do you know about multiple sclerosis?" And I'm like, all right, this could be a very, touchy conversation here. I don't know. And it ends up like, yeah, sure, they had a family member with it. And it's like all of a sudden you're thrown into like, okay, I have to enter essentially doctor mode and like, but like let them know, okay, first I'm a college student, I'm not a doctor, but like, here's what I know about it. Here's how I can kind of like talk to you about it. But it's like, it's that kind of like immediate, you switch into it. And then when they leave and then the next 5-year-old comes in, you have to switch back and you're immediately into that entertainer mode again. I think it's really, really good. It's this last time we did it on an actual stage, podium with an audience. And so you'll get questions from people age 9 to 90. And that's really interesting to see how at each stage they'll change and whatever and who reacts to what. It's easily one of the best experiences I think I had. This club, if anything else, has taught me that I really like educating. Just purely, I just love educating. It's so much fun. And yeah, so definitely the brain dissections. And we practice those in the UCF College of Medicine, like proper anatomy room. The cadavers aren't out, but they are in the room. So that's also quite nice. You get to kind of experience that a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's cool that like undergrad students are able to like actually interact with the brains as well. I think OSC goes beyond, and Brain B2 goes beyond just helping out local students in elementary school, middle school, high school. It's served like as a learning experience, as you said, through teaching. And I think that's what made me fall in love with teaching as well. Like I know I want to work in academia in the future, but yeah, being able to like kind of, give the opportunity for our undergraduate students, especially freshmen that have never even like seen a sheep brain before, kind of just like explore that on their own was super, super fun. We were at the UCF College of Medicine Anatomy Lab. Yeah, I'm never going to forget that. That was really, really cool to talk to freshmen and sophomores that are still also trying to figure out what they want to do with neuroscience. And then they see a brain, they cut into it, and they immediately fall in love and they know it's what they want to do. And it like fully changes, their perspective on everything. So I think the brain dissections are a huge part of NSA.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very good. Now, then, the last question as we're wrapping up our conversation today. Maybe each of you can give a piece of advice to those who are listening to us. Anything you want to share, to maybe encourage others. So anything you want to say to our listeners?
I'll go first. I think the biggest takeaway that I've gotten from UCF is to just keep exploring. As I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do in neuroscience specifically, since it's such a big field. But as I kept getting more experience and talking to other people and actually, putting my foot out there and like applying to things, like even if I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do, like you'll get something out of it, even if that's like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. At least you know that now, I think being curious and like keep exploring, don't be scared to like apply to something, I think is like the biggest piece of advice I can give people. Even if you're a high school student and you want research experience, like just email a professor. You never know what it's going to end up being. It might end up being like this huge thing, as the story that Dr. Sugaya mentioned, where Dr. Sugai like took on a student from high school and now he kept doing research with him. You never know what's going to happen. So I think keep exploring, keep trying to figure things out, and talk to people, I think is the main advice that I would give.
Yes. And I want to mention that this time during undergraduate studies is really time for exploration. Yeah, so don't be afraid to explore, to try different things, to switch majors, minors. There is nothing wrong about that. It's this time is given to you to explore. It's much more difficult to change things as you go further, but this time is just perfect for that. So yes, I agree with you, Sudeepta. Just keep exploring and be curious and reach out to people. Yep, excellent advice. Who wants to talk next? Yes, Andrei.
Maybe first off, and I tell this with anyone that I know is about to enter freshman year of high school, is like stay out on campus as long as you can. Don't be locked up in your room. Being locked up in your room is how, like, once you do that for the first semester or even the first 2 weeks of the semester, now it's like, oh well, I can't do that until the next semester. Oh, I can't do that until next year, and all of a sudden you're a senior and you're like, what? I was at a massive college and I didn't do anything. So I literally I remember freshman year I would leave my room at 8 a.m. I wouldn't come back until 8 p.m. Like I set that rule for myself just because that's how you meet people and you do stuff. I was walking around random things. I found a study abroad that way. I was in an improv group for a few weeks and then realized I didn't really like doing that. It was kind of more of a high school me thing. You know, you do that sort of stuff. So like go out and just stay out there. You know, good things will happen, you know. Secondly, once you're entering your sophomore year, try and make a calendar system. It's something that I learned from Sudeepta and kind of on my own, but like make a calendar system. It really does help. It's something that like once you have so many things going on, you'll very quickly realize that like it's very difficult to keep it in your mind. So don't keep it in your mind, put it somewhere else, and that'll help you out a lot. You'll realize actually how much time you still have available if you're not always worrying about all the things that you have to do. So practical advice, that I think those two things. On a more like spiritual level, research is awesome. Everyone should do it. Try and start it early. It's very good on like a understanding like, okay, how to ask a question, how to approach that question, what does it mean to solve that question, what things aren't solved when you solve part of that question, and then how do you talk to people about it. I think it teaches you all of those 5 things, and if you're going to go onto any sort of grad school or med school or anything, you're going to need to do that, so do that. And then lastly, similar to what you've already said, like stay curious, like just keep looking, keep it fresh always. Yeah.
Yes, great advice, Andrei. And I especially like how you set up the rule for yourself. That's it. Yes, from 8 to 8, I'm on campus, I'm exploring, I'm getting involved, I'm being active. Beautiful, beautiful. Love it. Thank you. Yes. So who would like to talk next? Charisse, May? Okay, May? Yep.
Honestly, I'm struggling to find what to say because you guys have taken the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say word for word, stay curious. And I'm just going to say it again because of how important it is. Stay curious, ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask a question. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your best buddy or if it's some PI you're terrified of. Go ask the question. Go put yourself out there. Go just learn. Learn about everything, find what motivates you, find what makes you passionate, because that's the best thing. That is what you want to pursue. And as for advice with getting involved, Andrei, I love your little system of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Very much get involved as early as possible. The sooner you get the ball rolling on that, the easier it is to build momentum. If you wait until later, your courses are just going to get harder. It's going to be more difficult to like figure out how to fit in that extra workload afterwards. And yeah, just go pursue everything, learn about everything, find what motivates you, and then stick to it. Meet people around you that express those same passions as well. And honestly, I think that's the best thing, especially in undergrad, that a person can do for themselves.
I absolutely agree. Yes, Charisse, yes.
One thing that I kind of struggled with coming to UCF is that it had so many different opportunities. And so I wanted to do everything. But realistically, you only have so many hours in a day. And so my advice is to try and structure your time early on so that you're able to do more things. One thing that I do, I also have a calendar that's like super helpful. But one thing that I do, it's more of a mentality, is like you don't worry so much about like how long it's going to take. Just focus, do as much as you can, and then move on. So like maybe you can have set times for like, from around like this time in the morning, I want to focus on my classes, make sure I can get my homework done. And then and this time I want to be more social. So like
Yes, yes. I think I know what you're talking about because this happens to me. We can always perfect things. Yes.
sorry, I'm
So if we
blanking right now.
don't put the boundaries, we can be doing, the same class preparation for the whole day, for 2 days, for a week, if we have time. Yes. So and if we decided that yes, this is the time that I put for my studies. Yes, I just
Yeah.
do my very best during that time and I move on to, let's say, my social interaction. Yes, because if I will continue doing my first part, I will never get to the second. Yes, so really be very clear about that. Set the boundaries for yourself. Yes, what you do and at what time. Charisse? Yeah.
It came back to me what it was that I wanted to say.
Yes.
But it's that I feel like it was more of like perfectionism. Like I wanted to make sure that my project was perfect and that in like I was submitting my best work. But one of the skills that I've been developing is to still do good work. Like you're not gonna like sacrifice that too much, but in shorter amount of time. So it's like having the confidence to know that I can still do this. I don't need to have it cut into other areas of my life in order to like pass a class or to get a good grade. I have the knowledge. I know what resources to tap into if I need it. And, I am capable to submit something that has a lot of like value and was formed well.
Yes, yes, I absolutely agree with that, Charisse. Thank you for this advice. I think all of your advices are so helpful. Yes, and thank you so much for coming and discussing this and inspiring other students. And I'm sure it will be very, very helpful to many of those who will listen this podcast. So I wish you all possible success in your studies. I hope we will get to meet maybe even one day. But yes, and maybe, in a couple of years, you will be already talking about your career development, yes, in the field. So it's possible that we will meet at that point and we'll see what happened. So thank you and yep, see you in the future. Dear Neurocareers podcast listeners, thank you for joining me and my incredible guests on this exciting journey into careers in neuroscience and neurotechnologies. I hope you've been inspired by the stories of those turning groundbreaking ideas into impactful realities. If you are looking for more guidance on advancing your neurocareer, book a free consultation with me, Dr. K, your podcast host and Neurocareers coach at the Institute of Neuroapproaches, the only career service dedicated specifically to the needs of professionals in neurotech. Let's take the next step toward your neurocareer success together. All this and more can be found at www.neuroapproaches.org. Again, www.neuroapproaches.org. Let's navigate the path to success in the world of neurocareers together.